Welcome back to Off the Bench, Northern Arizona Prep Sports, presented by Rice Accounting and Jackson Hewitt Tax Services and Cottonwood Parks and Recreation. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. We have got a great show in store for you this week. Later in the program, we'll be joined by Coconut's first robotics coach, Dave Thompson, for a two-part interview. In part one, Coach Thompson will speak about the program's plan to recruit more kids, what the long-term benefits of robotics are, and previews next season's competition. We'll then be joined by Lee Williams High School baseball coach Zach Smith. He returns to the show to speak about the blue-collar mentality of his team. He'll give an update on the offseason and how he builds his roster throughout the summer. And when we return from break, we'll begin part one of part two of our interview with Coconut's first robotics coach, Dave Thompson. He'll speak about regional competition, the season overall, and talk about what winning the Chairman's Award means to the program. All of that and a whole lot more coming up right here on Off the Bench. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Two things we can count on every year:
a new set of tax rules and great weather here in Northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
Welcome back to Off the Bench, Northern Arizona Prep Sports, presented by Rice Accounting and Jackson Hewitt Tax Services and Cottonwood Parks and Recreation. I am joined now by a familiar face to the program. He is Coconut's first robotics team 2486 coach at Coconino High School, Dave Thompson. Coach Thompson, welcome back onto the show.
Well, welcome. So glad to be here, Philip.
Well, we're very happy to have you. We had Christine Sapio, who is your assistant coach, on the show last time you guys were on, and you guys were getting ready for a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about here today: regional competition, first world championship in Houston. Coach Sapio is currently in Washington. We'll talk a little bit about that. There's a lot going on with the Coconuts. But Coach, before we get real specific about regional competition, how did you feel the season went just in general?
Oh man, Philip, it was a whirlwind of the season. It was probably our most successful season ever. We had 3 regional competitions. I'll talk to you about each of those, and then at those regional competitions, we actually qualified for the World Championship and did an amazing job there, and actually took away some hardware that I'd like to talk about.
Awesome. Well, that's great. So. Let's start off then, Coach. You guys get an opportunity to participate in the Colorado Regional in Denver back in March. A fantastic showing by your team. Can you give us a little bit more about how that regional competition went before we go into the next round?
You bet. We started off actually, our first regional we did was up here at Northern Arizona at the Sky Dome. We did really well. In fact, that was the first time that the kids got to actually utilize the robot that they built and play it on a competition field. We were in the finals and everything, scored very, very well all the way through. Actually took home the Engineering Inspiration Award, which is an award for the team that most demonstrates inspiring others for engineering and STEM outreach and everything of that nature. And that's a big thing that our team does, is we really focus on educating others about the exciting things about robotics, about STEM careers, about how they can actually go pro in STEM fields. And so we actually qualified for the World Championship at that event. Now, then our next event, we actually went to Denver, Colorado, and I think that's where we talked about. We were up in Denver, and the robot performed amazing. I mean, the kids did an incredible job with this thing. Actually scored the highest points possible at that competition. We came away actually as finalists. We got beat out actually by the World Championship team, the team that won it in the Worlds this year. It was pretty amazing, but we came up on that one as finalists. Again, that qualified us for a World Championship again, but because we had already qualified, we were able to go ahead and pass that award down to the other one. Also up in Colorado, we got the Control Award, which is an award for the robot has the most amazing autonomous program. What I mean by that is this robot that the kids designed and programmed and did everything on, this robot can actually track the target. Think about you're playing basketball, but as you're dribbling around, you shoot up and you're not even looking at the basket. It's already going in. And that's what this robot would do. It would literally drive around the field, always orientating itself in position so it would score no matter where it was on the field. How the kids did it, I don't know. It was pretty amazing. But we put a lot of work into it, and it really paid off. And then we had the opportunity to go to Utah.
Well, Coach, I just want to cut you off real quick because I got to ask you a question about the Denver competition. Because there was a little bit of an issue you guys had with your bot early on, which was a communication issue, correct? At least that was in the recap that Coach Sapio had sent me over. The judges said, even though their bot refused to listen at first, the team never lost sight of their goal while evading defenders. So I'm curious, when issues like that come up during regional competition, how involved are you guys down on the floor with the kids, or is it really just them sort of creating that problem solving and taking it upon themselves?
Well, exactly. We had a huge issue with the bot in the sense that program that I'm talking about, it wasn't working, and it did
Great time to not work, by the way.
I mean, it was crazy. And I mean, I'm pulling out a hair and I don't have any hair left. And I'm sitting there going, what is going on? Why is this thing not happening? And it came down to, we're working down in the pits with the robot. The kids are working furiously trying to figure out what's going on. And ultimately it was a hardware issue. And what happened is it was our camera that actually lights up the target had a couple of LEDs out, and because of that, the reflective signal we were getting back from the target was too low, and so what was happening is our robot was targeting on other lights within the field, and so all of a sudden, Noah, our head driver, is driving it saying, hey, it's not responding. It's not responding. It's wanting to shoot the other way. And so he's having to just manually do it. And of course, still did an amazing job with it. But then all of a sudden we figured it out. And like that, it was lights on. And I should say lights out because we were scoring higher than any other team out there.
Well, I would assume having your robot be able to see the target a lot clearer and be able to know exactly where it's supposed to be shooting into or looking at is definitely a huge advantage to you guys. But just to anyone who, that's the whole point of the game. But I want to ask, Coach, during that chaos, for you as a coach, how important is it for you to kind of stay as level-headed as possible, as calm as possible? Because, I know that there are probably 4 or 5 different people who are yelling ideas out and trying to fix the problem, and you guys don't necessarily have the time to take the bot out and really look at it. So, how important is it for you guys to sort of be that level-headed, be that sort of calming sort of person during a chaotic event like that?
Well, that's really the secret of coaching. And I'm going to tell you, it's really having the vision and looking ahead and working with the kids to the point where, it's the mission, it's the journey that they went on. And I was more proud of that than the bot actually all of a sudden starting to perform and doing beautiful. It's them not losing it, because that's at the point in any competition. I don't care if we're playing basketball, football, or robotics. It doesn't matter. It's when you're, as a competitor, you get your head out of the game. And as a coach, I've got to help keep them focused on what the big picture is really. Yeah. And so it's funny because Christine, my co-coach and everything, this is the point she sees me at this and just turns around and walks back out and says, nope, I can't deal with these, because it's like, why is it not working? Why is it not? And it's like, nope, It's just, we're going to work this through. And eventually you do. I mean, I've had a competition before where literally a robot sat the entire matches. I mean, for an entire day, we did not get it going. But you know what? We learned more from that, and they've learned to not do that again.
Right.
You know? So,
well, Coach, continuing on with our regional talk, before I cut you off, you had mentioned that the team, obviously after the regional competition in Denver, moved on to a regional competition in Salt Lake City in Utah before you guys made it to the first World Championship in Houston. So, Coach, let's talk specifically about Utah before we get into Texas. So just how did that second regional go? Was it better than the first one? How was it?
Well, you know, like one of the biggest problems with the robotics is you need a big field. You need this immense field to actually be able to play on. And teams don't have the resources usually just to go out. And it's not like going to a basketball court. You have to get these specific things, and they cost tens of thousands of dollars. And so the kids really can't compete other than practice on things that are made, like say with plywood and the different game elements. They're similar, but are they the same? And are they with other robots out on the field? Of course not. And so what we have to do is we try and simulate as much as we possibly can. But then going to a competition, you see, where, really this is where the rubber hits the road. And the first one, they did pretty well. The second one, amazing. By the third one, they were dialed in. And you could see it. They came in, they had their game face on, and they were, every match was, this is something that we can take and we can go all the way through. So you can see it, and the kids just get better and better at it. And I'm going to tell you, Utah, it was stunning to watch it. We played with some amazing teams up there. And we actually played with a team from Idaho called the Taters. Okay. And between us, we put up the world championship, the highest score in the world. And it was actually only beat during the Worlds in Houston, and still in the top 5 in the world. Pretty amazing, the score. Yeah. Again, we played hard on that one. In fact, that team that we played in, we went against them, and they ultimately won. We came away finalists again on that one, which is beautiful. But then at Utah, then we actually were going for what's known as the Chairman's Award, and this is for Dean Kamen, the chairman of First Robotics, and it's the highest award that any team can get. And it's for it's the team that literally other teams want to emulate. They want to try and be like. So not only can they perform well on the field, but they can perform incredible off the field. And that's what we do. And that's what we really focus on with the kids. It's about changing culture. And we walked away with the Chairman's Award at that one. Again, that qualified us for World Championship. So all 3 events we went to, we qualified for World Championship. And what was really cool, because we had already qualified, we were able to pass that on to one of our partners that we got to play with us. And so they didn't get to go. They actually got to go now to the World Champions. So it was amazing.
Well, congratulations to you and Coach Sapio and the rest of the Coco Nuts for winning that Chairman's Award. I mean, like you said, what an honor for you guys to be awarded that this season. Like you said, one of your most successful years, and it's been proven by solid finishes in regional in Denver, in Salt Lake City. But now, Coach, let's talk about Houston. How did Texas go?
Well, Texas is the World Championship. There's 40,000 students there. I mean, it's the Super Bowl of robotics. It's pretty amazing, and it's played like that. We played all over the country in different World Championships. This one was at Houston at the George Brown Convention Center. The only way to describe it is you take a regional and put it on steroids, because there's 8 of those going on simultaneously in here. We played like in the Atlanta, Georgia Dome, and you have all these things going on, these different events happening, and this is going on simultaneously. We have FRC, which is what we're competing in, First Robotics. There's First Tech Challenge going on as well, and that's more of a middle school and high school event. And then the FLL for elementary, First Lego League. All these things from around the world are going on. And what's amazing is we're sitting here in our pit, and across the way, here's a team from Israel. The kids are sitting there talking and working with the team from Israel. Next to them, we got team from Australia, and then we got teams from Spain. They're everywhere. And it's amazing that the kids get the opportunity to interact and actually compete and just network with teams from around the world. It's pretty amazing to see. Yeah. And we were right there all the way through. In our division, we competed very, very well all the way through. We actually got into the finals again, and this one we got knocked out by that team from Colorado that was called Up a Creek. They actually took the world championship. Wow. And they won it for the Worlds, and them and a team from Israel called Out of Orbit. These just some amazing teams, and of course another team called the Cheesy Poofs. They're out of San Jose up in California. Pretty amazing teams, and all these teams playing together. Just the level of competition it's just over the top. It's amazing to watch. So did we come away with a championship on that one? We didn't. I was hoping for, I'd love to see a world championship with Robot, and, we're going to keep striving. That's a goal for us. But one of the things we did walk away with, and I'm going to tell you, is probably a heck of a lot more impressive and more exciting for me as a mentor and a coach to my co-coach, Christine Sapio, is we walked away with the top award for coaching and mentorship, and that is the Woody Flowers Award. They only receive one in the world, and the Coconuts have to nominate a coach. We talked about it, and I had them nominate Christine Sapio, and the kids put together an application package that just really spelled about her compassion and her desire to help the students and everything, and really their success. And it shows. And she's an amazing mentor for these kids, amazing role model, female role model for STEM education. And I'm going to tell you, we walked away with what's called the Woody Flowers Award. And there's only one given a year to the top coach, top mentor in the world. And it's now sitting at Coconino High School. So we've got it. So.
Well, cool. Please extend that congratulations to Coach Sapio from us here at Off the Bench. That's awesome that she beat out what seems to be an incredibly huge pool of people to get that win. And I know that the first championship didn't necessarily go your guys' way, but I mean, like you said, Coach, you guys are showing out in regionals. You're showing here at the first World Championship, winning the Woody Flowers Award. I mean, it just continues to grow robotics here, not only at Coconino High School, but also throughout the entire Northern Arizona. I mean, I'm sure last time we were talking about where we could see more robotics teams pop up, and I'm sure, we're going to start to see some more pop up here, whether it be in Coconino County or Yavapai County or really anywhere. Havasu, pretty much any portion of this state. I'm sure there's a couple robotics teams who are probably pretty jealous about some of the hardware that's currently sitting in your trophy case, Coach. But seriously, congratulations. I want to ask, we talked a little bit about returners when you guys were on last time. I know you've got somewhat of a younger team, if I remember correctly. But how does this experience, going to regionals, starting that networking process, you talked about a few teams from out of the country. I mean, how does this sort of benefit your program going forward and benefit the returners that are coming back next season?
Right. Well, it was so important that we were able to take these new members to see this, to see a world championship, to literally walk up and down the aisles of these pits and hear multiple languages and see that, what they do is being done around the world and that they can compete internationally. Because our team was really, because of COVID, we have a kind of a bimodal team. We have a lot of seniors and we had freshmen. Yeah. And so nothing really in between. And we're losing all those seniors, and we lost them. And some amazing stories about those seniors and what the accolades that they got through robotics. But seeing those freshmen their eyes just light up, and they got so big when they all of a sudden they go, oh my gosh, they thought a regional was big. They thought that was loud. And then all of a sudden they go and see something like this, the Super Bowl of robotics. And it was amazing for those kids, because what it really does is they get a bigger picture. It's not just about regional. It's not about building a robot. It's about building change and changing the future and culture. And they saw it. And that's what I'm most excited about as a coach, because now I can see that they have a drive. They want to go back. They want to do it. And just like what you're talking about, Philip, is, okay, so let's go down to Verde Valley. Let's start some teams down there. Let's go over to Havasu. Let's go and create these teams. They know, and through programs like yours, is that they can contact the Coconuts and we'll be there for them. And it's going to be those freshmen that are now sophomores going to be the new leaders of this team. And when I talked to them, I said, they are the future of this team. The team is what you make it. And what do you want to walk away in 4 years when you look back and you said you've been on this team? What do you want to feel proud about? And the future's bright.
Yeah, and it's very exciting, Coach. I mean, like you had said, you guys pretty much had seniors and freshmen, and now the seniors are gone. So now your freshmen, who are now sophomores, are your seniors. And that's, this experience that they gained as freshmen, obviously going to carry into next season. And then, of course, I mean, what a benefit to you and Coach Sapio to have pretty much the next 3 years, because obviously this next season hasn't kicked off just yet, the next 3 years of having pretty much the same core of kids for 3 years. I mean, that's something a program wishes they could have every year. But what a great benefit for you guys going into next season.
Yeah, it's exciting. The future is bright because, like you said, now, the basic training, we've got that. Now let's refine and make it better. And so I've got a good core group of kids. Sapio and I are excited about the future. We're tired, but we're ready for it. So, yeah.
Well, we're still continuing our conversation with Coconut's first robotics team, 2486 coach Dave Thompson. That is the robotics team out of Coconino High School. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation about robotics with Coach Thompson right here on Off the Bench. Don't go anywhere.
Two things we can count on every year:
a new set of tax rules and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
Welcome back to Off the Bench, Northern Arizona Prep Sports, presented by Rice Accounting and Jackson Hewitt Tax Services and Cottonwood Parks and Recreation. We are continuing our conversation with Coconut's first robotics team coach, Dave Thompson. They are a robotics team out of Coconino High School. If you are just joining us in the previous segment, we got a chance to talk with Coach Thompson about their second place finishes at regional in Denver and in Salt Lake City, Utah. They got a chance to go to the first World Championship in Houston, which is an incredibly large event. Coach Thompson said it was almost the Super Bowl of robotics. And then, of course, Coach Sapio at that competition was able to win the Woody Flowers Award, which is essentially Coach of the Year. So congratulations again to Coach Sapio and Coach Thompson for an incredible season. We wanted to keep the conversation going a little bit more, kind of just to end out what we were talking about, Coach. I said at the start of the first interview, Coach Sapio is currently in Washington at a conference with some students. So I'm just curious I don't know if it's a secret conference or whatever it is, but I'm just curious, what's going on with Coach Sapio?
All right. Well, what we're doing is actually we were able to send a group of delegates to Washington, D.C. to advocate for legislation to actually change STEM education and hopefully get more opportunities across our region, across our entire state. And in order to do that, we need to talk to the politicians. And so there is an advocacy outreach event that is put on every year at Washington, D.C., and we are members of this. And we head to Washington, D.C. to talk with our Senator Kelly, and we talked with Senator Kristen Sanum. We've been talked with Representative Tom O'Halloran, and then we're going to take what we've done there at that level, and then come back at the state level and try to make real change happen here in Arizona. So we had three females that wanted to go this year. We voted as a team as to who was going to be our representatives. And like we talked about, Philip, they're freshmen. And so these freshmen, I'm excited because now they're going to go on for 3 more years, continuing this outreach, this advocacy, and try to create change. And Christine Sapio, my co-coach, was able, we was a female sponsor, was able to go, and they've been touring Washington, D.C. and been hobnobbing with the representatives and senators. It's been great.
Yeah, the Coconuts March on Washington is officially underway. As like you said, they just try to get more support and funding for STEM programs and robotics programs, not only here in Arizona but throughout the entire country. I mean, we're going to talk in just a couple minutes about the long-term benefits about robotics and STEM, as there are many career opportunities and scholarship opportunities in this particular program. But Coach, I just wanted to ask, now that we are way past the season, you guys are in the off season. I mean, what's going on now? I mean, outside of Coach Sapio taking a couple kids to Washington, I mean, what are you guys doing now? Are you guys on a break? Is there an off season for robotics? Or if you guys are on a break, when are you picking up again?
Well, we took a few weeks off. Okay. We actually took a few weeks off and just told the kids to just relax and let's have a little bit of summer, because we are hot at, jumping back into it. Right. In fact, here in July, we have an off-season event. Is going to be the end of July. It's like 29th and 30th. We'll be competing again with that same robot, but this time with a new set of drivers. And we're going to start training new drivers and training that whole freshman core. We have another event in September, and then we kick off, because we actually run the first Tech Challenge program, FTC, for the state of Arizona. The Coconuts are actually the official partners for running that program. And that kickoff is September 9th. And so at that point, we will be going down to ASU and hosting a major kickoff and putting that all on. Then we have another off-season event at the end of September. And then October, we have a state championship event that we will be hosting and competing at. And then also we'll be heading over to San Jose, because we were invited by the Cheesy Poofs, the world championship team, to come and compete at their off-season event. And only the top teams in the world were invited to go over there and compete. So we'll be competing there in October. Oh my gosh, you can see we got a busy schedule ahead of us. And then our last off-season event will be in November. And then during that time, we'll be hosting and running the FTC events to eventually do our kickoff, which our season officially starts in January. And so there's no rest for the wicked. We are, going to be continually working.
I love those team names, Coach. You guys had the Orbits out of Israel. You guys are the Coconuts. You got that team out of San Jose who's the Cheesy Poofs. I'm sure that's the only South Park reference that's ever been made on this show. Yeah. But how fun that you guys, I mean, like you said, Coach, it just speaks more to that broader sort of networking, that sort of family of robotics teams. Robotics has been around, and STEM have been around forever. They've been around for a very, very long time. I don't know exactly how long organized high school robotics has been going on, but there's, we talk about, the family and stuff of football and your more quote unquote traditional sports, but there are so many aspects of that teamwork, so many aspects of that collaboration, even with opponents, that really does trickle through what you wouldn't consider a sport. I mean, robotics mathematics. There's a lot that goes into it. But if you were to make a list of sports, people wouldn't throw robotics on there. But really, robotics, chess, debate, band. I mean, a lot of these non-traditional sports really do carry a lot of the core values that you see with baseball, with basketball, with soccer. It's just a different way to do it, and it's always fun to hear that collaboration. Even when I ask baseball coaches, hey, you took on Prescott High School and you guys lost, and then the response is, well, I'm really close with the coach and we work together. We'll talk to Coach Smith here from Lee Williams High School, and he himself, him and Coach Casada out of Mingus Union High School, not best friends, but they are, rival schools, but they're very kind to each other. And it just goes to show that really, I mean, organized anything in the name of competition, it does breed a lot of just really good people and a lot of just great connections.
So true what you're saying, Philip, because a perfect example, Christine and the girls are here in Washington, D.C. They've already connected with a team in Australia. They connected with another team in actually in New York that they're planning this event. So they went out afterwards networking and here we got a brand new teams that we're going to have lifelong, friendships with. And like you say, it's critical. That's really why, robotics is just like you say, it's just another venue of getting kids to work together in an organized team manner. And regardless of what it is, that is such a powerful tool.
Yeah. And we've seen it. I mean, like you said, even with you guys being out in Washington, you're already making connections. So again, we were speaking with Coconut's first robotics team, Coach Dave Thompson. They are a robotics team out of Coconino High School. So Coach, I know if I remember correctly, do you guys know what game you're going to be competing in next year? Do you know what rope? No, I didn't think so. That all comes up a little later in the year, right?
Yeah, not till about January 6th, January 10th, somewhere in there. The game will be released around the world. Yeah. It'll have a robot involved. I know that, but I don't know what the task is going to be and what we're going to be challenged to actually build. And that's what makes it so difficult as a coach. Because, if you think as a coach, if I'm playing basketball, I know what the game is next year. Yeah. And they may change a rule, but the game is the game, and I'm going to still be able to compete this one. I can't do that with these kids. I've got to sit here and work about other things. And that's those other core ideas about, like you say, STEM education and really teaching. All right, well, let's learn how this mill works. Let's learn how to use a lathe. Let's learn these tools. So when the game comes out, we can jump in and start working right away.
Well, Coach, we've kind of hit a lot of sort of the long-term benefits of robotics and STEM. But, we got a couple more minutes before we let you go. And I just want to ask, are there any other sort of benefits or long-term benefits outside of high school that stick with you if kids go into robotics and STEM? And then what scholarship opportunities are available?
Well, Philip, that's you're going to be blown away by this a little bit. Okay. First Robotics alumni are offered over $80 million in scholarships. I mean, that is for those schools want these kids. And we're not talking just, any schools. We're talking MIT, Stanford, Worcester Polytech, every big name school out there you want to name. They want these kids because they can think on their feet and they can compete. And so they offer very, very competitive scholarships. The Coconuts themselves, I told you we had seniors and we had freshmen. My seniors walked away this year with over $1.2 million in scholarships. I have kids going full ride to Columbia University because of robotics. I have them going to University of California, San Diego because of robotics. I have them going to Embry-Riddle on full ride scholarships. We had them qualified to go to MIT. I've got them at ASU, U of A, you name it. We've had the kids going there, and they're all going into STEM related careers. Whether it be in biology, whether it be in math, like say robotics, whatever, it doesn't matter. But the cool thing, Bill, every one of those kids can go pro. and they can be successful.
And that is absolutely incredible. You said $80 million in scholarships every year. I mean, what was I doing wasting my time on the bench on JV and baseball and basketball, man? I don't know what I'm doing. But hey, Coach Thompson, that's great to hear. I mean, I say it to every coach who tells me that they got kids going on scholarship, going to the next level, going to community college, going to now in this case, I can add Columbia to this list. I mean, it's always great to hear a coach tell me that they've got kids going off to the next level, regardless of whether it's in the sport that they coach or outside of their current program. But Coach Thompson, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show and again, sharing us everything about this wonderful program. Again, the Coco Nuts Robotics team out of Coconino High School, led by this man and Christine Sapio, who is currently not with us on the show today. She's in Washington fighting for this exact thing. And it's incredible to see. And I love the passion, and I always appreciate your time.
Well, thank you so much for everything you do, and let's go nuts.
That's right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Lee Williams High School baseball coach Zach Smith right here on Off the Bench. Don't go anywhere.
Two things we can count on every year:
a new set of tax rules and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
Welcome back to Off the Bench, Northern Arizona Prep Sports, presented by Rice Accounting and Jackson Hewitt Tax Services and Cottonwood Parks and Recreation. I'm joined now by a familiar face of the program. He is Lee Williams High School baseball coach, Zach Smith. Coach Smith, welcome onto the show.
Glad to be back on.
Well, we're very happy to have you, Coach. First and foremost, I said this last time, but I want to say it again. Congrats on finishing your first year. I know you guys are in the middle of your offseason right now, which we will talk about. You're getting ready for your second year at Lee Williams High School. But first and foremost, something I didn't get a chance to ask you the last time you were on the show, any of your guys make it to the college level, regardless whether it be for baseball or for academics or for a different sport?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a handful, I'm pretty sure most of our kids that were seniors are going on to the next level, either sports-wise or academic-wise, and couldn't be more proud of them. Ethan Clanky signed with Shoreline Community College up in Seattle. And then Anthony Lucero signed with Chandler Gilbert to go play baseball. We also had one of our leaders of our team, Jatan Patel. He's going to go start his medical career at Colorado State in Fort Collins. So then we have a bunch of guys going to, surrounding areas, whether it be community college or, Arizona State, somewhere like that. So, we had a extremely good group of seniors this year that, wanted to take that challenge to go to the next level and challenge themselves either academically or through sports.
Well, and I know you like you said, Coach, you said you're proud of your guys. I know this means a lot to you as a coach, getting to see your guys go to the next level, whether it be for baseball or whether it be for a potential medical career, it sounds like. But regardless, wonderful to hear, as always, another group of players going on and participating at the next level. Coach, how's the offseason going? What have you guys been up to? Have you been able to participate in any tournaments? Just how's the offseason going so far?
Offseason's been going really well. I've unfortunately been gone for most of it. Been back home visiting family and friends that, I only get to see twice a year. So, we kind of took this time, me and my wife, to kind of get away and, kind of see family, spend time with them, and just kind of reset before we get back to school and, the football grind and the volleyball grind for my wife. But no, Coach Peterson and Coach Church, my entire staff's been doing a fantastic job with our summer program. I check in daily with them, and, it's nothing but positives. We use this time to really, not necessarily just get in a ton of games and, it's just game, tournament, but just to kind of evaluate our incoming freshmen.
Okay.
And, some kids, those younger kids that were freshmen last year that are now sophomores, just kind of see what they can do and just kind of, how they're progressing. And, I can say that Coach Church and Coach Peterson, Coach Clanky, I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch of people, Coach Bowman, they've done a fantastic job with, developing our guys in the correct way. As our program, that's our biggest thing is development, but it's doing it the right way, making sure that we're not just out there to play, but we're practicing, we're getting really good high quality reps, and we're not getting just a quantity, but quality reps.
Well, you talk about sort of getting a glimpse at that freshman team to see what they do in those midseason tournaments. Obviously, I'm sure a few of your returners are also finding some time when you guys are in those tournaments, but just in terms of your further approach when it comes to off-season tournaments, I mean, is it a time for you also to kind of focus on things with some of your returners, some of the guys that maybe not focusing on the football season right now or focusing on the fall sports season? Is that also another way that you take advantage of this time to sort of build out the rest of your roster?
Yeah, absolutely. Losing 12 seniors, we lost a lot of people. We lost a lot of arms, especially in our rotation and in our bullpen. And so this is a time for those kids to get those reps on the mound, and we can see what we need to work on in the fall or in the winter. This is our last week of doing summer baseball because a majority of our guys are football guys.
Right.
And, I've been in really good communication with Coach Brown, the new football coach, and we're gonna cut her short, so then that way our field can kind of take a break, and they're gonna hopefully, fingers crossed that we're gonna kind of get some things fixed with our field this summer and this fall, just kind of make it a little bit more playable, but just give those kids time to be kids as well. Baseball it's not the biggest thing in the world. Although as coaches, we want it to be, but, they're 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids too,
right.
Giving them time to relax and, go hang out, sleep in every now and then. And, if they families want to go take a vacation, they can go take a vacation.
Yeah. Well, it's always good, like you said, Coach, I mean, it's always good to get a break from stuff. It's always good to step away for a little bit. Regarding those guys, Coach, you talk about kind of the offseason. You guys are going to have to get to a point where you need to step off the field and give these kids like a month or so or month or two to get reestablished and get ready for the next school year. What about your guys who are focused on the football season? I know you'll have a little bit more time with them, and it sounds to me like this offseason, these tournaments are more focused on the kids who are coming up and kind of getting an idea of what you're looking at in the spring. But what about some of those guys who do return for some of this offseason ball, or, do want that work in the middle of the summer, regardless if they're focusing on football season real soon? I mean, how do you approach, furthering their development, considering, you'll get them in the winter and in the spring again. So, I know that the necessity to have them out there is not as high, but I'm just curious, how do you approach those returners during the off season?
Yeah, and it's just getting those guys reps and just kind of making sure that their edges stay sharp. We know what we're getting from them, so we know what they can do, and it's just good. I'm just glad that we've had that. We're going to have maybe 2 or 3 seniors on our team in total next year, and so they get the chance to kind of put their mark on our program, and they've done a really great job with leading, holding kids accountable, especially the newbies. They know our program better than anything. And so they get the chance to kind of show them the ropes and, tell them, hey, that's not how we do things here. And so it's good for those guys that are football guys like Braden Peterson and Troy Edwards and, those guys to be able to come in and, kind of lead by example as a senior.
Yeah, another guy who is taken off as well is Devin Santos, who not only a solid fixture on your baseball team, but also a star quarterback for the program as well. And, Coach, I know you're not the head coach of the football team, but if I do remember correctly, you are involved with the football team. So we'll have to talk a little bit about that as the interview progresses. But another guy that you guys are going to be losing on both ends of the spectrum. But regardless, we're always happy to see these kids move on to the next level, and we wish them all the best. Coach, you talk about kind of the freshmen coming up. I mean, what have you heard from that group that's been in there, the guys who have been participating in the summer? I mean, what have your coaches told you about what they've seen during the offseason?
Yeah, buy-in. Our program's not for everyone. We're blue collar. We really push the issue. We're highly attention to detail. And, those kids are buying in. They've never been a part of a program that has, that much attention to it and that much detail that goes into every little thing that we do, the whys as to why we do things, why we want to be focused in on the strike zone in the outfield. They've never probably even understood or heard of that. Why we creep on the infield. And, so there's just kind of some things they get the opportunity to see the whys. And now they're starting to see the success once they get that why reason. And, they start to kind of implement it in whether they're playing in the city league or they're on a different travel team, they get the opportunity to instill that in their everyday baseball lives. And, this group of freshmen that we're going to get is very talented. They have the opportunity to be extremely talented and, take our program to the next level. But, they'll learn very fast that, everything's earned. And, just because they've had, a resume or whatever however you want to put it, as a middle school team, high school baseball is completely different. They've kind of seen that, and they understand that in the tournaments that we've played in and the doubleheaders that we've played in with Havasu and the academy and Needles. They've seen the different level of baseball and how much faster it is. And so it's good that they're kind of getting their feet wet, and so then that way we can get things rolling in our winter schedule. Right away after Thanksgiving, and we can start progressing and getting ready for the season.
Coach, you talk about that blue collar mentality. I mean, where does that come from? Does it come from your Midwest roots, or does it just come from what Coach O'Boyle before you instilled, or I mean, where does that come from?
Yeah, Kingman's it's a blue collar town, and we always ask our kids, right away, do you guys know what the term blue collar means? And they have no idea. We work for.
That's what that means, right?
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's just that, we work hard for everything. We have to. We don't have the nicest facilities. We don't have, we don't have this. We don't have that compared to, the Coconinos or the Flagstaffs where, they have turf or, whatever. They have all sorts of. They have fundraising. They have boosters. We don't have all that. Right. So we get what we get, and then, we just work. And, we work for everything that we get, and we're not going to be cheated with, outcomes. We're not going to put things into other people's hands, and we're just going to take the reins and just kind of roll through it. But yeah, my mentor and, kind of Coach OB's mentor as well, Rick Hinneman, who we coached with here in Gehring for years and years and years. He really installed that blue collar mentality into his Legion program. And, we really enjoyed the fundamentals of that philosophy. And, we tried to instill it wherever we've been, whether it be football, whether it be basketball, whether it be baseball, track, it doesn't really matter. If we can install that blue collar mentality into our kids, that's not only going to set them up for, sports success, but for life as well.
Right. Well, of course, good work ethic is always appreciated. I know getting kids to buy in can be tough, and it's you're right. I mean, there is. It seems to be a very universal term, in terms of that blue collar, where a lot of people, it means different things for different people, but at the end of the day, it really does mean hardworking program, and like you said, Coach, you just don't have as many of the same luxuries as everybody else does, and in a lot of ways, I mean, it is what it is. But Lee Williams High School baseball coach Zachary Smith, he is on the show today. We are just talking a little bit about the offseason. Lee Williams, just like everyone else, the season's done. They've wrapped up. Lee Williams, they get a chance to go to the playoffs this year. which is very exciting, a trip to the first round. We talked about that the last time we had Coach Smith on the program. Coach Smith, you're entering your second year as the head coach of the baseball program this year. So I just want to ask, where's your focus for you? I mean, what goals have you set out for yourself? Is there anything that you've implemented that you want to see stick? Are there some things that you're going to change in your second year? Again, Coach Smith has been around the program. He's the head coach. He was made head coach last year, but just to clarify the timeline. But Coach, my question still remains. I mean, where are you looking to improve?
Biggest thing is development. We lost a ton of guys, and our Coach Church and Coach Peterson did a fantastic job with the JVA and the JVB levels, but we're going to be extremely young for the foreseeable future, which is not a bad thing, but it's tough, and so a lot of people are going to count us out just due to the fact of what we've lost. And we got to be able to develop, and we've got to be able to install our philosophies, our goals, and our leadership especially. We've lost a lot of leadership from last year. That's one area that I'm going to really, really hammer home. I'm going to implement a leadership committee that makes all of the tough decisions. That way it kind of takes a lot of pressure off of our coaches. It's just, we just got to grind, and we just got to work, and we just got to put it in. And, who knows what can happen. We have a great group. We got a good, solid returning group with, Nick Kennedy, Noah Petrusky, Troy Edwards, Braden Peterson, Dylan Towning. We got a bunch of guys that are gonna really contribute, but we're gonna be extremely young with the new guys that are gonna be putting on that LW jersey for the varsity team come February.
Yeah, but I mean, you talk about some of the returners you're getting, and I know we talked a little bit about it last time. Your Nick Kennedys, your Petruskis. I mean, like you said, despite the fact that you guys are relatively young, it seems like you are welcoming back a solid group of returners who do carry a lot of experience. But I want to ask you about this leadership committee. Is that something that you're going to have open to underclassmen as well? I know there's a couple instances where maybe you find, I know Mingus Union High School had it with Xavier Buckner this year, where a freshman was really starting to find his voice early on in a program that did have a good amount of seniors, but not a lot. And I know you guys are relatively similar with not a lot of seniors, but a good chunk of returners. So just a little bit more into that leadership committee. I mean, how will it look, and how does it kind of break down for you?
It's going to be very similar to, I really admire what Eric does with his program. I've gotten a lot of ideas from him, and he's a fantastic coach. And, I'm just going to open it up to whoever wants to be, whoever quote unquote thinks of themselves as a leader. I'll have a sheet that has some qualities that our coaching staff's looking for. And, if they feel like they're a part of that's something that they want to do, then, we're going to open it up to them. Doesn't matter the age to me. Obviously, we played freshmen last year, the year before. I mean, we've had a bunch of young guys playing, and, we had some, Barrett Bowman was challenging a lot of people last year as a freshman, older guys in the dugout, just, questioning some things. And that's something that we need more of. And, that's one thing that I really want to try and get installed in our program is that leadership council, just so then that way, if something happens in the season where, we need to call up a guy, or we need to call up multiple guys, and we need to send a couple guys down, then, that council's they'll take care of it. And, they won't have any hesitation. They know what they got themselves into and what they're looking for.
Getting back to just a little bit on baseball, Coach, just more so talking about the offseason. Obviously, club ball is very big. What is your interactions with club ball throughout the years? I've grown up in Western Nebraska, so we had technically, I guess, club ball, but it's Legion baseball. That's our high school baseball season is in the summer. But, moving down to Kingman, that was my first opportunity to really get involved with the club scene, so to say, I guess. But, it's very similar to, the USSSA stuff that goes on with the young kids. The Legion baseball, it's very similar, just kind of a lot less, more, I guess, organized in a way to where, everything's set up and,
these tournaments that we go to, some of them have some good organizations, some don't. Some it's just a big giant free for all, and we don't quite know what we're getting ourselves into. But we try to stay away from the tournaments and just kind of more so stick around here, stick around Kingman, play some doubleheaders, some quality teams that we know that we're going to see in the season. I know in the winter it'll be kind of the same format. We want to host a couple of tournaments in the winter just because our weather is, I guess, kind of better than some areas.
That's true. Yeah. You talked to Prescott about that one in Flagstaff.
Yeah. So, we're going to really kind of hone in a lot on the winter season. Summer, obviously we got guys that are playing travel baseball with other organizations, which is perfectly fine.
Right.
As long as they're getting reps and they're getting experience, I don't really care. So, our winter season's really when we start to really hone in and, kind of really focus in on what we want to do.
Well, Smith, again, Lee Williams High School baseball coach Zachary Smith on the show today. Coach Smith, before we let you go, like I mentioned, I know you have some involvement with the football team, so we're not necessarily – I'll talk to Coach Brown, the new head coach, a little bit more and talk more directly about how the summer's been going. But I'm just curious, what have you heard about the football team? How are you guys looking this season? Just what have you heard so far?
Well, just from the limited weight room and practice stuff, we had a really good spring ball session, or I guess week this year. So we're implementing a lot of new stuff, and all I can say, and you can even let Coach Brown know this when you talk to him, but we're going to be fast.
Okay.
And so that's going to be the term. We're going to be fast. It's going to be get your popcorn ready.
Well, Coach, I know we're a long time away from the start of baseball season, but I appreciate you coming on and talking about the offseason for your baseball program, along with what is clear excitement for the football program coming up here in the fall. We'll get a chance to have Coach Brown, who is the head coach of the football program at Lee Williams High School, on the show at some point very soon. But for right now, Lee Williams High School baseball coach Zach Smith, thank you very